What's up, everybody? Back for another Honkai Star World video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the new banners that are coming out in the second half of 3.4. So, unfortunately, the time for probably one of the best banners in Star World history is upon us, right? We have Phanon, which is like the newest fancy DPS, right? We have Tribby and Sunday, which are probably the best two supports in the game, and then Sparkle, a little bit more niche, probably on the worst end of the sports, but she is also here along with the Fate collab with Saber and Archer. So we have quite a bit of characters. In fact, if you pretty much just had every single character here, you'd actually have a really good account going for you. So it is sad to see this go. The one thing that sucks for a new player experience is when you get into the game, most of the time the banners are not going to align perfectly to where you get your DPS, you get your support, you get your sustain, and then you like get your first team going, and then you go for your second team. Most of the time it's like, oh, your team wants Sunday. Okay, well, Sunday just passed, so you're going to have to wait to use Sunday until like 4 banners pass any reruns or whatnot, right? Which can be literal months, right? One thing that's unfortunate for me is I was never able to get Sunday's light cone. I think I'm at like 30-ish pity for it. Is what it is, right? Maybe the second time he reruns I can get it, but it is what it is. Now the main question is, should you summon on the next banners? Now I did a video on this, but I'm going to make another video just so it's more fresh for YouTube because, you know, they don't want to push the older videos out. And that is the 3 reruns, right? We are getting 3 reruns. There's no new character, which is going to be a good thing for some people and a bad thing for others. So let's take a look at the banners real quick. We have them right here. I just used the tier list because I felt like it was the easiest thing to grab all of them. So we have Firefly and her light cone, Jinglu, her light cone, and Blade and his light cone, right? This rerun is mostly because Blade and Jinglu got a buff recently, and then Firefly has a skin, and that's pretty much the logic they went with, right? Now, none of these characters are by far the best character for what they do. Break is kind of just, you know, in a really rough state at the moment. So Firefly is not amazing, but if you want her skin, it makes sense to rerun her as well, because if you bought the skin and don't have the character, like, you know, it is what it is. Then we have Jinglu, who did get a good buff, right? She's not terrible, but I wouldn't say she's like the best DPS in the game or like top 3, right? And then Blade is one of the better characters to get buff. He's very, very good now, but he's also by far not like the best character in the game, tier 0 and everything, right? So it's 3 DPSs who are not the best at what they do, or pretty much 3 DPSs who aren't the cream of the crop, right? So that already hurts the rerun potential, right? If you need a DPS, more than likely, unless you really like these characters, obviously if you're a big fan, you should summon for them regardless, right? Always summon for what you like over what you need, because I feel like the game just gets staler more if you're using characters and whatnot that you don't like. But unless you're a huge fan of this, there's no real point summoning on it objectively, because you would just summon for the better DPSs or wait until a new DPS comes out that's like, you know, probably going to be the best DPS in the game, and then go from there, right? They're just so they have a longer lifespan. Also, Jinglu and Blade did recently get buffed, and they're probably not going to buff them anytime soon. So it's kind of like, you know, if you don't get them now, you might as well just not get them at all, and you don't really need them at the moment, right? I feel like reruns for buffed characters are going to be weird, because it's like, do you get them because they're buffed now, or do you skip them because you know that they're not going to get buffed anytime soon? Like Firefly could get a buff and she could be absolutely crazy, right? So there is a little bit of incentive there to summon, right? But otherwise, none of these 3 are by far like a must summon at all. They're DPSs. Most DPSs never are, right? Their light cones are pretty solid. The issue with the light cones is Firefly doesn't need it. It's break stuff, right, for destruction, so very niche. Jinglu's is like okay, right? Blades is free and a shot. Well, sorry, free, quote unquote. If you buy the battle pass, you can eventually get it after 4 battle passes, right? So Blades is rather easy to get. Blade also is a pickable option for when you lose 50-50, you have a chance of getting Blade. I'm not entirely sure how his banner works. Like, if you pull Blade, do you win your 50-50 or do you lose your 50-50? Hard to say. I would assume that potentially they're not going to have him in the selection, and if they do, then I guess the race for 50-50 would be slightly skewed because you have like a very small percent chance to get Blade from losing 50-50, but it would probably just count as you winning 50-50. We'll see when it comes out. I have no idea how his is going to work. I'm just going to assume there's either going to be a, like I said, no option to pick him, or he's going to be slightly boosted to where he has a higher than 50% chance of pulling him if you pull a 5-star, right? And then the other two characters, like I said, Jinglu, there's better DPSs, and then Firefly's Break, which is like, you need a lot of love for Break for them to work, right? So overall, I really can't recommend summoning at all on these banners, which is kind of nice. We have a save period. I think this is the, second time we've ever had a no new character update, right? The last time we had this was with Rappa. We had Rappa into an Acheron Adventuring rerun, and honestly, it was really nice being able to not worry about summoning. Of course, I know that I summon a lot more than the average player does, so a lot of people are probably like, what do you mean? We save all the time, right? But it's just nice not to have a new flashy character shoved in your face. It's just reruns. I'm hoping we get this a bit more often, so we're not just constantly just 5-star, 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 because Star Wars likes to throw 5-stars at you way too often, like actually just like an unhealthy amount of times. At least that's what I think, right? But obviously, let me know in the comments what you think about full rerun patches. Do you enjoy them? Do you not care for them? Do you want a new character every single time, right? What reruns do you guys want? I'm assuming that when we get these two characters right here, you and you, I'm assuming they're going to rerun Kafka and Silverwolf just because they are the characters who recently got buffed that have not got a rerun yet. The first half, which was this banner right here, was pretty much Sunday. Works really good with Phanon and Saber, right? Triby is a insanely good universal support, and then I almost said Archer works with Sparkle. I mean, technically that's correct, right? Sparkle is Archer's best in-slot support, and he's free, so there's a bit more incentive to be like, okay, she's not like the best support in the game, but we got a free character that she works really well with. So it's kind of like the incentive to just, build up your account there. And then the incentive on these banners is, Firefly skin and 2 buffed characters. So I feel like to kind of wrap it up, giving Silverwolf and Kafka their own banner, especially because Hyceans is going to be a dot character. It's pretty much like confirmed, like, let's be real, right? So having Kafka and a dot character released at the same time, if you want to build dot, would be a great time. And Silverwolf just makes sense as well. Obviously, this isn't like 100% confirmed by any means, but it just makes the most sense. It'd be kind of weird to have a buffed character and then not rerun them. I feel like the most incentive to summon is right after they get buffed, which, Hoyo's got to make money. It feels like the smartest decision, right? So I feel like those are going to be the reruns for these two. If there's going to be more reruns, not too sure about just how it's shaping up at the moment. So if you are a fan of Silverwolf or you want to run dot, keep that in mind before you potentially go for any of these 3 characters. But like I said, I highly recommend you do not summon. Just save, save, save. If you do end up wanting to summon, at least wait until we get full info on these 2 and the reruns. This banner will still be out for a few days once we get the live stream. Plus, we also should get drip marketing and all that good stuff. So just wait a little bit, and if nothing interests you, then you can go for these characters because, like I said, there's nothing too crazy about them. Unfortunately, all the good stuff is in part 1 of 3.4. But other than that, that'll be it for the video. Let me know what you think of these characters in the comments. If you're summoning, skipping, and of course, I'll catch y'all in the next one.